Hello everyone, my name is Rian Hussein, and today I'll be presenting for you an introduction to cybersecurity. So firstly, I'll start by explaining what cybersecurity is. Secondly, I'll talk about the categories of cybersecurity. Then I'll talk about the common types of cyber attacks. After that, I'll talk about the application of cybersecurity, and finally, I'll talk about the future of cybersecurity. So let's start by defining what cybersecurity is. So basically, cybersecurity is a practice of protecting systems, networks, and programs from digital or cyber attacks. And these cyber attacks are usually aimed at accessing, changing, or destroying sensitive information, extorting money from users, or interrupting normal business processes. And according to reports, 350,000 new malicious programs and malware and unwanted potential applications are created every day. And this shows that we are living in a world where our privacy may be at great risk if we're not cautious enough. And before we proceed, one more important point to address is the difference between cybersecurity and information security. Now, both of the terms are used interchangeably, but the main difference is that cybersecurity focus and implies the protection of information from online threats only, whereas information security is all comprehensive regarding the protection and the security of data and information, whether it's online or offline. So as you can see from this picture, we can see that information security acts as an umbrella for cybersecurity, which is the online security. So one type of offline security or information security is hardware hacking, where a hacker or any malicious user can hack into the computers or a system of other by, for instance, using a USB flash drive that can steal credentials like passwords, files, and documents once he plug it into the victim's device. Now we will talk about the categories of cybersecurity. So basically there are 5 main categories of cybersecurity, and these are network security, application security, cloud security, infrastructure security, and operational security. Network security refers to the protection of your computer network from attacks inside or outside the network, and it employs numerous different techniques to prevent malicious software or other data breaches from occurring. And one of the most important layers to secure a network is firewall. You may have heard about it, which acts as a protective barrier between your network and external untrusted network connections. And there are other techniques that can be implemented, such as for instance, access control and anti-malware and viruses. Access control can be used by, for instance, if there's a company network, the company or the person responsible of holding the access control authenticate or give access only to employees who are working in that company, whereas other employees, other individuals who are not in or unwanted user not involved in the network are blocked to get the access. Another way is using anti-malware and viruses such as Avast, McAfee, and so on. Other type of security is application security, and this is the process of protecting sensitive information at an app level, and most of this security should be implemented before the application is deployed. This means like for the first line of code must be implemented with security. As you are writing the line of codes, you have to implement security on that. Other techniques may involve like making a 2-step authentication, strong password and suggestions, and so on. For example, some apps may ask you to create a complex password so that it cannot be easily accessed by hackers, and other may ask you to make 2 steps authentication, maybe by number, and so on. Other type of security is the cloud security, and as you know, most of our online life is stored in the cloud, and most people use online systems such as Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, and Apple iCloud for storage. And it's important for these platforms to remain secure at all times due to the massive amount of data stored on them. Now, as you can see, you may have seen this image in your settings, where it implies that you have to protect you have to make a backup for your for your files and documents in case of some example ransomware, because if there's a ransomware attack, all your files will be encrypted, so you can store your files and backup it in a cloud storage device. So the security of this cloud storage device is so important for the safety of your information. Another types of security or category of cybersecurity is infrastructure security, and it relates to the security of utility services and infrastructure used to power and operate data center and technologies, cloud and networks. For instance, power supply, transmission system, water supply and cooling, heating, ventilation, and other cyber physical systems. And this is some critical infrastructure that may be at risk of cyber threats. Another is operational security, and this term refers to the risk management process of all internal cybersecurity, and this type of management usually employs a number of risk management officers to ensure there's a backup plan in place if user data becomes compromised. So this is like incident respondent, and one way that companies do that is by hiring ethical hackers or white hat hackers to hack into the system legally so that they can find the vulnerabilities and fix them fast. Now we have the types of cyber attacks. So a cyber attack or a digital attack is a malicious and deliberate attempt by an individual or organization to breach the information system of another individual or organization. And usually the attacker seeks some types of benefits from disrupting the victim's network. And as you know, cyber attacks has increased every year as people try to benefit from vulnerable business systems. And when attackers are attacking, they're often looking for ransomware attacks, which help them to get or extort money from the users. And some common types of cyber attacks includes the following. First, we have malware, which is a term used to describe malicious software, including spyware, ransomware, viruses, and worms. And all these are types of malware. So malware breaches network through a vulnerability, typically when a user clicks a dangerous link or email attachment that then install risky software. So once the victim install this risky software or click on the dangerous link, the hacker can almost have full control over his device. So this is an example from the hackers or the compromiser panel, where for instance he has full control of the device. He can start camera, control the call logs, get the IP address, get the MAC address, get the SMS message, and so on. So he almost have control access to the device of the victim. Another type of malware is, as we said, ransomware attack, which work by encrypting the file of the victim, so the victim cannot access his files unless he pay some kind of money to the user, maybe bitcoins and so on. So one way that we can reduce the effect of ransomware attack is by backing up our information, our files, our folders in a cloud storage such as OneDrive or Microsoft Drive, so that we can have a backup for our encrypted files in case of a ransomware attack. Another type of cyber attack is phishing attack. So phishing is the practice of sending fraudulent communication that appear to come from a reputable source, usually through email. And the goal is to steal sensitive data like credit card and login information, username information, or to install malware on the victim's machine. So for instance, as you can see, this is a Facebook phishing page. So the main function of this phishing page is to look legit, so that when a user finds this page, he might think that this is the official website of Facebook. So he can enter his email address, his password, and all this information will be passed to the hacker right away. So this is the main aim from phishing attacks. Another type of cyber attacks is the man-in-middle attack, or MITM, which is also known as eavesdropping attack, and it occurs when the attacker insert themselves in a two-party transactions. Once the attacker interrupt the traffic, they can filter and steal data. And some instance or some example of this MITM attacks is the use of unsecure public Wi-Fi and the malware breach. For instance, as you can see, attacker. This is an attacker. He can create a fake access point whereby a user thinks that it's a legit access point, and when he connects to this fake access point, the attacker can compromise his device, look at the information, the network, at the user's device, and he can also send make unwanted application or malicious application to be downloaded on the user device or the victim device, so he can have control over his device. Another type of cyber attacks is DDoS attack or denial of service attack. And DDoS attack floats system servers or network with traffic to exhaust resource and bandwidth, and as a result the system is unable to fulfill legitimate requests. So an attacker can also use multiple compromised devices to launch this attack, and this is known as distributed denial of service attack. So as you can see, this is a demonstration for the DDoS attack, where you have the server and you have the bots here, and you have the HTTP get float attack. So there was a DDoS attack like in the 80s and then in the 90s, where the hacking group Anonymous implemented a DDoS attack on the Facebook servers, which led to the shutdown of the Facebook servers. And this was by Anonymous compromising thousands of other devices, which and then attacked the servers of Facebook using DDoS attack. Another type of cyber attacks is the SQL injection, and which stands for structured query language injection, and it occurs when an attacker inserts malicious code into the server that uses SQL language and forces the server to reveal information it normally wouldn't. An attacker could carry out SQL injection simply by submitting malicious code into a vulnerable website search box. So for instance, this is a university website, for instance, which includes a database. So when a user installs his username and password, he can get access, for instance, to his academic results, academic scores, different information. So if this website is affected by SQL vulnerability, a hacker can insert, for instance, malicious code to the input area, Unicode. There are many types of SQL injection, to be honest, and when he input this malicious code into the search box, he can be granted access to the whole database by, it's like a kind of glitch or vulnerability. So and this is common, especially if the database is written using SQL language. Now we have the application of cybersecurity, which is quite common. The cybersecurity in the communication to protect your text messages, your emails, your phone calls. Cybersecurity in the finance sector to protect the banks and credit card from hackers and cyber attacks. We have cybersecurity for the government, cybersecurity in the transportation, especially those cars, AI cars, or cars that are working with the technology of Internet of Things, need to be protected. Another is the cybersecurity in healthcare, especially that in the healthcare system, we have the EHR system, e-prescribing system, practice management support system, clinical decision support system, radiology information system, and computerized physician order entry system. All these systems which are in the healthcare sector are at risk of cyber attack. So it's important to protect those systems in the healthcare sector. This is an image of the application of cybersecurity in different sectors in our day-to-day life. And now we have the future and challenge of cybersecurity. As you know, cybersecurity has changed dramatically over the recent years, and it's also recognized as a separate discipline within IT security. So some of the prediction of the future regarding the future of cybersecurity can be summarized as below. First thing is the involvement of artificial intelligence within the field of cybersecurity. As you know, AI is very good for analyzing massive volumes of data and at speed and applying heuristic algorithm to determine pattern. So basically, hackers can use AI approach to analyze stolen data such as network traffic and password credentials. So basically, they can automate the process, the work, in order for it to be easier for them. Another prediction, and it's an obvious one, which is the increasing security threat. And then, as you know, the number and variety of cyber threats will continue to increase year on year, and some example might be like organized gangs, there will be like cyber groups or hacker groups who are dedicated to hacking to organization to steal money, credentials, whatever it is. And the other thing is the untrusted internet. As you know, with the increase of cyber attacks, there are many untrusted applications, untrusted websites, so that individual may fall victim of and can have many consequences. Other attack might be the increase of phishing attacks, and as you know, phishing attacks is a fraudulent attack that's aimed to steal your credentials, maybe username, password, through making itself as a legitimate website. So example, Facebook phishing attacks and so on. Another thing is the increasing political interference, and this is something that you may have seen, like within, like if you see the United States election, as Russia tried to interfere within the politics of the United States. So this can show one way in which cybersecurity can have these kinds of challenges in the near future. Another thing is the IoT and vehicle hacking. As you know, they might in the near future will have cars that are working with the technology of Internet of Things, and this Internet of Things, as you know, it includes sensors, GPS tracking system, audio system, and control system. And within that, it also the IoT are connected to the internet and have Bluetooth capability to link other device. And as you know, vehicles are becoming increasingly attractive and lucrative target for cyber criminal, because whenever any place that there's a connection, there is a cyber threat. So as you know, these types of car, which is cars that are working with the technology of Internet of Things, are of great threat of cyber attacks in the future. And so I believe precautionary measures must be taken in order to protect from these kinds of attacks. And this is the end of our slide. Hope you enjoyed this presentation, this introductory presentation about cybersecurity, and see you on